Hello there. Welcome to the Science Owl Station channel. Today we begin a slow and gentle journey through our solar system. Not as hurried explorers or curious students, but as quiet travelers, drifting peacefully through space, letting each thought soften, each breath lengthen, each moment stretch just a little more than the last. Imagine, for a moment, that you are floating effortlessly, wrapped in a warm blanket of darkness. There is no up or down here, no urgency, no destination you must reach. Only the calm presence of distant worlds, moving in graceful silence, guided by ancient rhythms older than memory itself. The solar system unfolds not as a diagram or a textbook, but as a living lullaby of motion, balance, and time. Before we drift too far, take a second to notice where you are right now. Maybe you're listening late at night, lights dimmed, the day finally behind you. Or perhaps it's early morning, the world still hushed, the air cool and still. Wherever you are, and whatever time it is, feel free to share it in the comments. A quiet roll call of listeners scattered gently across the spinning earth. And if you find comfort here, consider tapping the like button or subscribing, so you can return whenever the night feels long and your thoughts need somewhere soft to land. Now let your shoulders relax, let your jaw unclench. Allow your breathing to slow into a natural, easy rhythm. With each inhale, imagine space opening wider around you. With each exhale, feel the weight of the day drifting away, dissolving into the dark. Our solar system is often introduced as a busy place. Planets racing around the sun, moons colliding, asteroids tumbling through chaos. But when you step back, when you zoom out far enough, something different emerges. A quiet order, cosmic patience. Every orbit repeats like a familiar melody, unhurried and dependable. Nothing rushes here, nothing needs to. Somewhere ahead, unseen but deeply felt, lies the sun. Not blazing and harsh as it appears from Earth, but steady, ancient, and enduring. Around it, worlds follow their paths with the kind of devotion only gravity can inspire. This dance has continued for billions of years, and tonight you are simply listening in. As we drift, facts will come to you slowly, one by one, not to be memorized, not to be analyzed, but to be noticed and then gently released. Think of them as stars passing through your field of view. You don't need to hold on to any of them. Just let them glow briefly, then fade. The solar system formed from a vast, cold cloud of gas and dust, long before Earth had oceans, long before Mars lost its rivers, long before Saturn's rings settled into their delicate bands. Gravity gathered that cloud inward, patiently shaping chaos into balance. Even now, that original calm still lingers in the spaces between worlds, in the long pauses between movements, in the silence that fills the dark. As you float here, notice how quiet space truly is. There are no echoes, no footsteps, no voices, just the soft, imagined hum of motion. Planets gliding, moons turning, particles drifting like dust motes in a sunbeam. It's a silence that doesn't feel empty, but full of history, full of waiting. You might feel your thoughts beginning to slow, stretching out the way shadows lengthen at dusk. That's perfectly natural. There's nothing you need to focus on, nothing you need to solve. This is not a race through facts, but a gentle descent into rest. In this series, we'll visit familiar worlds and distant edges. We'll pass storms that have lasted centuries, mountains taller than any on Earth, oceans hidden beneath ice, and boundaries where the influence of our sun finally fades into interstellar night. But we'll do it slowly, quietly, without urgency. If your eyes are open, you can let them soften, unfocused. If they're closed, imagine the faint glow of planets far away, muted and calm, like lanterns seen through fog. Each one waits patiently for its turn, content to move as it always has. There is something deeply comforting about the solar system's indifference to our schedules. It does not hurry because we are tired. It does not pause because we are awake. And yet, somehow, its steady rhythms can guide us into rest, reminding us that it's okay to slow down, to let go, to trust the night. As this journey continues, you may find moments slipping by unnoticed. You might lose track of which planet we're near or which fact came before the last. That's not a mistake. That's the point. Let the information blur at the edges, like stars seen through half-closed eyes. For now, simply stay here, floating, breathing, listening. Wherever you are, let the world slow down for a while. Soften your gaze, let the hum of life around you fade, and gently drift with us into tonight's quiet exploration. As we drift a little closer now, the darkness ahead begins to warm. Not suddenly, not sharply, but with a slow, comforting glow, like the faint light behind closed eyelids. This is the presence of the sun, the quiet heart around which everything you know gently turns. The sun does not rush. It has been shining in much the same way for over 4.5 billion years, and it will continue long after every familiar coastline has shifted and every mountain range has softened back into dust. In its core, deep beneath layers of glowing gas, a calm and relentless process unfolds. Every single second, about 4 million tons of matter are transformed into pure energy. Not destroyed, not lost, simply changed. A quiet alchemy, repeated endlessly, without pause or ceremony. This energy does not explode outward. It seeps, drifts, takes its time. The light that warms your skin today began its journey long before human memory. Once released from the sun's core, it can take thousands, even millions of years to slowly weave its way outward, scattering and rescattering, before finally escaping into space. Only then does it glide effortlessly across the solar system, reaching Earth in just over 8 minutes. A final, graceful crossing after an unimaginably long wait. The sun holds almost everything here. About 99.8% of the entire solar system's mass belongs to it alone. All the planets, moons, asteroids, comets, and dust combined are little more than a faint echo by comparison. And yet, the sun does not dominate with force or noise. It simply exists, and gravity does the rest. Planets follow because there is nowhere else they would rather be. If you could listen closely, not with ears but with imagination, you might sense that the sun is not truly still. It gently vibrates, like a vast, slow instrument played by invisible hands. Scientists call this helioseismology, the study of the sun's subtle oscillations. These rhythmic movements ripple across its surface, revealing hidden layers beneath, the way a soft hum reveals the shape of a room in the dark. Even at this scale, there is rhythm. Even here, there is something like music. The sun's surface appears calm from a distance, a smooth disk of light. But up close, it's textured, almost alive, covered in slow boiling patterns of rising and falling gas. These motions are not frantic. They are measured. Each loop of plasma completes its path and yields to the next like breath following breath. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is hurried. And despite its brilliance, the sun is not immortal. It is middle-aged by stellar standards, settled into a long, stable phase of its life. One day, far in the future, so distant it barely deserves concern, it will change. It will swell, becoming a red giant, its outer layers expanding gently outward. But tonight, that future is only a whisper, far beyond the horizon of this quiet moment. For now, the sun simply shines. It does not ask for attention. It does not demand understanding. It offers warmth, light, and time, steady, dependable time. Every sunrise you have ever seen, every shadow that has ever stretched across a floor, traces back to this calm nuclear fire burning in silence. As you float here, you might imagine the planets arranged like notes around a central chord, each one holding its place, each one moving to the same gravitational rhythm. The sun does not pull them harshly inward. It invites them to stay, and they respond over and over again, orbit after orbit. Let that steadiness settle into you. Let your thoughts slow to match the sun's patient pulse. There is no need to think about tomorrow, no need to remember yesterday. Everything you need in this moment is already here. Light arriving softly, gravity holding things together, and time stretching out, wide and unbroken. In the gentle glow of this ancient star, we continue our quiet journey, ready to drift onward when you are. As we remain near the sun a little longer, something subtle begins to reveal itself, not in brightness, but in contrast. Beyond the softly glowing surface lies an atmosphere that behaves in ways that feel almost dreamlike, as if the rules gently bend when no one is rushing to watch. The outermost layer of the sun, known as the corona, stretches far into space like a faint, luminous veil. Strangely, it is much hotter than the surface below it. While the visible surface glows at thousands of degrees, the corona reaches temperatures of millions. It's one of those quiet cosmic mysteries that doesn't clamor for an answer, but simply exists, patiently waiting, like a question whispered rather than asked aloud. Even now, scientists listen carefully, letting the sun explain itself in its own slow language. The sun's magnetic field moves with the same calm persistence as everything else here. About every 11 years, it gently flips, north becoming south, south becoming north. This cycle doesn't announce itself loudly. It drifts in, peaks, and drifts away again. During these periods, dark spots appear on the sun's surface, sunspots, cooler regions where magnetic forces momentarily rise closer to the surface. They are not scars, not wounds, but brief expressions of deeper motion beneath the light. These sunspots come and go like passing thoughts. They grow, fade, and vanish without leaving a trace, while the sun continues shining as it always has. Occasionally, energy stored in twisted magnetic lines releases itself in great arcs and streams, sending particles flowing outward. Yet even these events, powerful as they are, unfold far away, muted by distance, softened by the vastness of space before they ever reach Earth. All of this motion, the heating, the cooling, the rising and falling, happens in silence. There are no explosions you could hear, no roaring flames. Space carries no sound. The sun performs its endless transformations in perfect quiet, like a dancer moving alone on a darkened stage. If you imagine watching the sun for centuries, you would notice how little it truly changes from day to day. The cycles are long, its moods slow. A human lifetime barely registers. Empires rise and fade, oceans shift, forests come and go, while the sun continues its steady work, turning hydrogen into light, light into warmth, warmth into life, over and over again. And yet, even this calm has an ending, one so distant it feels more like a legend than a prediction. Billions of years from now, the sun will begin to run low on its fuel. It will expand, its outer layers drifting outward, becoming a red giant. The inner planets will be bathed in an intense glow, and the solar system will change its shape forever. But that future is unimaginably far away, separated from this moment by more time than the mind can easily hold. Tonight, the sun remains what it has always been for us, a quiet companion in the dark, a steady presence that asks nothing and gives endlessly. It marks time without ticking, warmth without flame, power without noise. As we slowly drift away now, the sun recedes behind us, its light becoming softer, less direct, but no less dependable. Its gravity still reaches out, guiding our path, keeping the rhythm of the worlds intact. Let that sense of continuity linger, the feeling that some things do not rush, do not falter, do not demand your attention. They simply endure. And with that calm assurance behind us, we begin to move outward, toward the smaller, quieter worlds waiting patiently in the dark. The warmth of the sun begins to thin as we glide inward toward the first small world in its company. Here, light sharpens, shadows deepen, and contrasts grow extreme. This is Mercury, a planet that keeps its secrets close, wrapped in silence and stone. From a distance, Mercury looks simple, almost unfinished. No clouds drift above it. No thick atmosphere softens its edges. Instead, its surface lies bare beneath the sun's gaze, exposed and ancient, like a thought left untouched for billions of years. Days here are long and unbroken, while nights stretch endlessly cold. Temperatures swing gently but dramatically, not because of storms or seasons, but because Mercury has almost nothing to hold warmth in place. What little surrounds Mercury is not truly an atmosphere at all, but something far thinner, an exosphere so delicate it feels more like a suggestion than a presence. Atoms drift briefly above the surface, borrowed from the solar wind or knocked loose by tiny impacts, only to fall back again or escape into space. It's a ghostly envelope, constantly changing, never settling, never staying. Mercury breathes, if it can be called breathing, one atom at a time. Despite being the closest planet to the sun, Mercury hides cold in the most unexpected places. Near its poles, deep craters remain forever in shadow. The sun never climbs high enough in the sky to touch their floors. And there, in eternal darkness, water ice rests quietly, preserved for eons, unmelted, untouched. In a world known for heat, these pockets of cold feel almost tender, like secrets kept in the dark. Beneath Mercury's scarred surface lies another surprise. Its core is enormous, far larger in proportion than that of any other rocky planet. A vast heart of iron fills much of its interior, giving Mercury a density that feels out of place for such a small world. It's as if the planet is mostly memory, the heavy remnants of formation, compressed and held tightly, while the outer layers tell only part of the story. Mercury's path around the Sun is not perfectly steady. Its orbit shifts ever so slightly over time, a slow turning of its closest approach point, known as perihelion. This gentle drift once puzzled astronomers, until it quietly helped confirm a deeper truth about the universe. The subtle motion matched predictions made by Einstein's theory of relativity, revealing that even here, in this quiet, rocky place, the fabric of space and time itself bends softly under gravity's influence. Nothing on Mercury moves quickly. The planet turns so slowly that a single day, one sunrise to the next, lasts longer than its entire year. The sun rises, pauses, even appears to move backward for a time, before continuing on. Light behaves differently here, stretching moments, blurring the idea of morning and evening into something far more patient. As we drift above this silent terrain, craters overlap like ripples frozen in stone. Each impact tells of an ancient solar system, more crowded, more chaotic, long before the gentle order we know today settled in. And yet, there is peace here now. No wind erases these marks. No rain softens their edges. Time itself seems to rest lightly on Mercury's surface. Take a moment to feel that stillness. A world without weather, without sound, without change. It does not feel empty, only complete in its quiet. As we leave Mercury behind, the sun's pull remains steady, and the light grows just a little softer. Ahead, another world waits, one wrapped not in silence, but in thick, shifting clouds that hide a very different kind of story. As Mercury fades into the distance, the light around us changes again. Not dimmer, but diffused, softened, as though filtered through layers of gauze. Ahead lies a world wrapped completely in cloud, its surface hidden from view, its secrets kept beneath an unbroken veil. This is Venus, a planet that turns inward, away from expectation, following its own slow and unfamiliar rhythm. From afar, Venus appears gentle. Its clouds reflect sunlight so efficiently that it becomes one of the brightest objects in Earth's sky, a steady presence at dawn and dusk. Yet beneath that pale glow is an environment shaped by extremes, not sudden or violent ones, but persistent, unrelenting conditions that have settled in over immense spans of time. Venus spins differently from almost every other planet. It rotates in the opposite direction, a slow retrograde turn that feels almost deliberate. One Venusian day, a single rotation, lasts longer than an entire Venusian year. The sun would rise in the west and set in the east, if it could be seen at all through the clouds. Time here does not flow the way we expect it to, stretches, loops, and lingers. Unlike Earth, Venus has no significant global magnetic field. There is no strong invisible shield extending outward to deflect the solar wind. Instead, charged particles from the sun brush directly against its upper atmosphere, slowly carrying pieces of it away, atom by atom. It's a quiet erosion, happening gently, continuously, without spectacle. The atmosphere itself is immense, thick with carbon dioxide, heavy enough to press down on the surface with crushing force. Heat enters easily, but escape is nearly impossible. This is the result of a runaway greenhouse effect, where warmth becomes trapped and layered upon itself over time. The surface temperature climbs until it surpasses even that of Mercury, despite Venus being farther from the Sun. Here, distance matters less than balance, and balance was lost long ago. And Venus stands alone. It has no moons to circle it, no nearby companion to tug gently at its tides or mark the passing of time. Its sky, if one could stand beneath it, would feel still and heavy, the clouds unmoving in appearance but racing overhead in reality, completing a full rotation around the planet in just a few days. Beneath those clouds lies a surface shaped by volcanic flows and broad plains, smoothed and reshaped in the distant past. Impact craters are fewer here, erased by resurfacing events that occurred long after Venus formed. The planet does not forget. It renews, slowly, thoroughly, and then grows quiet again. As we drift past Venus, there is a sense of turning away, of a world that followed a path just slightly different from Earth's and arrived somewhere else entirely. Not broken, not chaotic, just other. Venus reminds us that similarity does not guarantee sameness, and that small differences, given enough time, can lead to profoundly different outcomes. The clouds remain behind us now, glowing softly in reflected sunlight. Ahead, the light becomes more familiar, more welcoming. A blue world waits, balanced between extremes, wrapped in motion, breath, and water. As we continue outward, the light settles into a gentler balance, neither harsh nor distant. Ahead, suspended in the quiet dark, is a world that feels immediately familiar. Not because it is simple, but because it is alive with motion. This is Earth, a planet that breathes, shifts, and renews itself in slow, continuous cycles. From space, Earth does not appear still. Clouds curl and unravel across its surface. Oceans shimmer softly, absorbing sunlight by day and releasing it back into the night. Beneath it all, the planet's crust is never truly at rest. Earth is the only known world where vast plates of rock drift slowly atop a warmer, softer interior. These tectonic plates move just a few centimeters each year, yet over time they raise mountains, open oceans, and gently recycle the surface itself. This slow restlessness helps regulate climate, lock away carbon, and shape the long story of life. Earth is also the densest planet in the solar system. Its mass is packed tightly, held together by gravity and a large metallic core that spins deep below the surface. That spinning core generates a powerful magnetic field, an invisible cocoon stretching far into space. This field deflects harmful radiation from the sun and channels energetic particles toward the poles, where they paint the sky with soft, shifting lights known as auroras. Curtains of green and violet glow silently, rippling like breath made visible. Water moves freely here in ways unseen anywhere else. It rests as ice at the poles and mountaintops, flows as liquid through rivers and oceans, and drifts as vapor through the air. These three states coexist naturally on Earth's surface, creating a gentle cycle of evaporation, condensation, and return. Rain falls, snow settles, mist rises at dawn. The planet exhales and inhales endlessly. Earth's tilt adds another rhythm. Its axis leans slightly, enough to tip different regions toward or away from the sun throughout the year. This tilt creates seasons, slow, predictable shifts in light and temperature. Summer warms and expands. Winter cools and rests. Spring and autumn ease the transitions between them, like pauses between breaths. Despite all this motion, Earth feels calm from a distance. Its systems work quietly, without announcement. Forests grow, oceans circulate, ice advances and retreats, all without hurry. Even dramatic changes, when viewed on planetary timescales, unfold gently. As you float here, imagine the countless moments happening at once on this world. Waves meeting shorelines, leaves settling onto soil, cities dimming as night arrives. None of it needs your attention right now. Earth knows how to take care of itself moment by moment, cycle by cycle. We do not linger long. Earth continues on its path, balanced and turning, while we drift onward, leaving behind the soft blue glow. Ahead waits a red-hued world, marked by deep scars and towering heights, shaped by wind and time rather than water. The blue light of Earth fades gradually behind us, and the warmth of the sun grows a little more distant. Ahead, a quieter world comes into view, wrapped in muted reds and soft rusted tones. Mars drifts through space with a calm, almost thoughtful presence, as if it remembers something it no longer speaks about. Mars tilts on its axis much like Earth does, and because of that, it knows seasons. Not as gentle or lush, but real all the same. Polar ice caps expand and retreat. Sunlight shifts across hemispheres, and temperatures rise and fall in a slow, familiar rhythm. Spring arrives, thin and cold. Summers pass quickly. Winters settle in and linger. Even here, far from Earth's oceans, time is marked by light. Yet Mars is a world shaped more by air than by water now. Its atmosphere is thin, so thin that wind must work patiently to leave its mark. But given enough time, it does. Fine dust coats the surface, lifting easily and drifting across plains and valleys. Sometimes these drifting grains gather into storms. They begin small, local, almost gentle. But on Mars, a storm does not always know when to stop. Every so often, dust storms grow large enough to wrap the entire planet. They can last for weeks, even months, softening the landscape beneath a persistent haze. Sunlight dims, shadows blur, the surface becomes quiet and indistinct. In 2018, one such storm slowly darkened the skies for so long that a small, patient rover named Opportunity could no longer gather enough sunlight to continue. Its mission ended not with violence, but with stillness, a machine resting gently beneath drifting dust. Mars has no global magnetic field to protect its atmosphere. Long ago, solar winds began to strip it away, molecule by molecule. As the air thinned, liquid water could no longer remain stable on the surface. Rivers dried, lakes vanished. What remains are traces, channels carved into rock, minerals formed only in the presence of water, silent evidence of a world that once flowed. And yet, Mars does not feel dead, feels paused, preserved. Its surface is ancient, its features sharp, unsoftened by rain or plate tectonics. Unlike Earth, Mars does not recycle its crust. There are no moving plates here, no slow collisions raising new mountain ranges. What formed long ago remains, almost exactly as it was, held in place by cold and quiet. As we drift above this red terrain, the planet turns slowly beneath us. Sunlight slides across cratered plains and wind-shaped dunes. The air whispers but never roars. Nothing here demands attention. Mars waits. There is a still beauty in this waiting, a reminder that worlds can change, lose, and yet remain whole in their own way. And as we continue onward, deeper scars and greater heights await us, etched into this planet's surface like memories written in stone. As Mars continues its slow rotation beneath us, the surface begins to reveal its most dramatic features. Not suddenly, but gradually, as if the planet is allowing us a closer look only after we've learned to move at its pace. These are the marks of deep time, carved patiently, preserved carefully, and left exposed beneath an open sky. Stretching across the face of Mars is a vast scar known as Valles Marineris. It is not a single canyon, but a system of immense chasms, running for nearly 4,000 kilometers, long enough to span an entire continent on Earth. In places, the walls plunge more than 7 kilometers downward, far deeper than the Grand Canyon could ever reach. Standing here, if one could stand at all, the ground would fall away so completely that the horizon itself would seem to break. This canyon was not carved by rushing rivers, at least not in the way valleys on Earth are shaped. Instead, it formed as the planet's crust stretched and fractured long ago, opening slowly, silently, as Mars cooled and shifted internally. Over time, wind may have softened its edges, dust may have settled along its floor, but the canyon itself remains largely as it was. A frozen moment of planetary tension, held open for billions of years. Not far away rises another quiet giant. Olympus Mons emerges from the surface so gradually that it barely feels like a mountain at all. Its base is vast, spreading wider than many countries on Earth, while its summit reaches nearly 22 kilometers above the surrounding plains. From bottom to top, it is the tallest volcano in the solar system. Not sharp or jagged, but broad and calm, like a slow breath lifted upward and never released. Olympus Mons could grow so large because Mars lacks the restless plates that reshape Earth. Here, the crust does not slide away from rising magma. Instead, lava flows piled layer upon layer in the same place, spreading outward, cooling, and then building again. Over immense spans of time, this gentle repetition created a mountain that seems almost unreal in its scale. Yet, despite their size, these features feel quiet. There are no eruptions now, no collapsing cliffs, no flowing rivers. The forces that built them have long since faded, leaving behind only form and shadow. Sunlight moves slowly across the canyon walls, revealing subtle color shifts: rust, gold, deep brown, each hue a memory of ancient chemistry. As we float here, the scale begins to soften. Distance makes even the largest things feel manageable, calm. Valles Marineris becomes a dark line. Olympus Mons becomes a gentle rise. Mars itself feels small again, a single red sphere turning patiently in space. There is comfort in this perspective. Even the greatest scars can rest. Even the tallest mountains can sleep. And as Mars drifts behind us, its ancient surface preserved in silence, we move onward, leaving the inner planets behind, entering a region where space opens wider and smaller bodies drift slowly in the long, quiet gap between worlds. As Mars fades into the distance, a quiet emptiness begins to grow. The space around us widens, and the stars beyond seem a little brighter, more present. This is the asteroid belt, a region that at first glance might appear empty, but when you look closer, you realize it is far from it. It is a delicate, quiet place, filled with millions of objects, each one tracing its own steady orbit around the sun. But the belt is not as densely packed as the name might suggest. If you could stand among the asteroids, you would see vast stretches of emptiness between them. Each asteroid is a small world in its own right, drifting slowly, some larger than others, some smaller than a pebble, but all in motion, following their slow paths around the sun. The largest of these asteroids is Ceres, a world that has been both classified as an asteroid and a dwarf planet. If you could look at it from afar, you might notice its round shape, a result of its own gravity, which has pulled its mass into a gentle sphere. Beneath its surface, scientists suspect there may be water, perhaps in the form of a hidden ocean locked beneath a thick layer of ice. If true, it makes Ceres an intriguing world, one that quietly hints at possibilities for life, or at least the potential for something to exist in the future. Ceres also contains some strange, bright spots that were first observed by the Dawn spacecraft. These mysterious patches of light are likely deposits of salt left behind when water once seeped up from the interior and evaporated, leaving behind these shining remnants. They glow faintly, like stars that were once alive but now simply wait in the cold silence of space. Not far from Ceres lies Vesta, another massive asteroid that also has a layer of ancient history. Unlike Ceres, Vesta shows signs of having been shaped by internal heat, evidence of a planetesimal that nearly became a full-fledged planet. Its surface is deeply scarred by impacts, each one a quiet record of the violent forces that once filled the early solar system. Vesta has a core, a mantle, and a crust much like the inner planets, suggesting that it was once a more active world than it is now. Despite these fascinating features, the asteroid belt remains a place of gentle movement. Nothing here rushes. The objects move in quiet orbits, drifting ever so slowly through the space between Mars and Jupiter. There is no chaos, no collision after collision. The belt is not a place of destruction, but a place of stasis, of small, ancient bodies tracing the same path for billions of years, untouched by the forces that shaped the larger planets. The silence here is profound. The distance between the asteroids gives a sense of calm, as though each is simply waiting for the next moment, the next orbit, in a rhythm as old as the stars themselves. As we continue through this quiet zone, the next large world waits for us just beyond. A massive, swirling gas giant, its rings shimmering faintly against the backdrop of the stars. But for now, we stay here in the belt, where time moves in small increments, and the space between objects feels as vast and endless as the stars themselves. As we leave the asteroid belt behind, the quiet emptiness of space grows deeper, wider, and the light around us softens. Ahead, the next world looms large, a giant draped in golden clouds, its rings glowing faintly like halos in the dark. This is Jupiter, the largest planet in our solar system, a world whose sheer size dominates everything around it. Yet it seems to hum with a quiet, enigmatic energy. Not loud, not forceful, but steady and constant. Jupiter's atmosphere, vast and swirling, stretches endlessly in every direction, filled with bands of clouds moving at different speeds, each one creating a delicate, shifting pattern of color. These clouds aren't just beautiful. They are expressions of the planet's internal rhythms, where immense pressure, heat, and gases mingle to create a world of storms, winds, and turbulence. In Jupiter's upper atmosphere, winds can reach speeds of up to 600 kilometers per hour, a chaotic, almost violent motion but one that seems to settle into some sort of gentle order. Beneath these clouds, the deeper layers of the atmosphere stretch into an ever-thickening sea of gas, where pressure rises so intensely that hydrogen itself begins to take on strange, liquid-like properties. But the most iconic feature of Jupiter, the one that draws every observer's eye, is the Great Red Spot, a storm so large that it could swallow Earth whole. This storm has raged for centuries, spinning in place with a rhythm all its own, a calm in the center of a chaotic swirl. The red spot, though massive and ever-changing, has never been a threat. It simply exists, turning slowly on the planet's surface, weaving the fabric of Jupiter's atmosphere into an eternal dance. Despite its size and storms, Jupiter does not dominate the space around it with harshness or force. Its gravity, yes, is immense, but it is not cruel. It holds the moons close, guiding them along their paths, but it does not pull them violently. Instead, Jupiter's moons drift in their own orbits, each one bound in a graceful, quiet dance with their giant neighbor. Jupiter has over 90 moons, though only a handful are large enough to stand out. Among these moons is Io, a world of fire and sulfur, where volcanic eruptions light up the sky with the fury of a planet still very much alive. Yet, even this fiery activity seems muted from a distance, as if Jupiter's constant presence gently calms the chaos below. Another of Jupiter's moons, Europa, hides an ocean beneath a thick crust of ice. If you could peer below the surface, you might find that Europa is a place where life could exist, or at least where life could once have existed. Yet, like everything in the solar system, Europa waits. There is no rush, no frenzy, just a slow, continuous cycle. Despite its storms and its size, Jupiter seems to exist outside of time, as if it has been turning slowly for eons, untouched by the urgency of smaller, faster worlds. There is peace here, though it might not be immediately apparent. Jupiter's vastness is not overwhelming, but comforting, a reminder that even the greatest forces in the universe move with patience. We continue our journey, leaving Jupiter's vast influence behind, and in the distance, a new world comes into view, one where rings of ice and rock stretch out like the threads of an ancient story, waiting to be untold. As we slowly drift away from Jupiter's immense presence, the silence of space takes over again. But now, there is something quieter and more serene ahead. A world wrapped in elegance, adorned with delicate rings that appear like threads of light in the dark. This is Saturn, a planet whose graceful appearance belies the immense power and mystery beneath its rings. Saturn's beauty lies not in its size alone, but in the way it seems to glide through the cosmos, unhurried, unbothered by the bustling worlds around it. Its rings, though not the only rings in the solar system, are by far the most stunning. Made primarily of ice particles mixed with rock and dust, they stretch out for tens of thousands of kilometers, yet their thickness is surprisingly thin. These rings are not solid but made up of countless individual particles, each one in its own orbit, moving at different speeds and interacting in subtle ways. From afar, they appear as a luminous, faint band encircling the planet, giving Saturn the air of a world dressed in light. The planet itself, a giant made mostly of hydrogen and helium, seems to float more than it turns. Saturn's gravity, like Jupiter's, is immense, but it doesn't pull at the surrounding space with force. Instead, Saturn's presence feels calm, steady, like an artist patiently spinning a delicate thread of cosmic silk. Its atmosphere is composed of thin, cloudy bands, shifting and blending slowly, while violent storms occasionally sweep across the surface, but none that can disrupt the graceful dance of Saturn and its rings. At its poles, Saturn is marked by a strange and beautiful hexagonal storm, a massive, six-sided vortex that has puzzled scientists for years. This peculiar storm doesn't fit the normal patterns of storms on Earth or even Jupiter. Instead, it appears to be a perfect geometric shape, seemingly carved out of the planet's clouds. Its edges are sharp, the pattern perfect, as though Saturn has quietly spun a design for its own amusement, a puzzle that remains unsolved for now. Saturn's moons are as varied and interesting as the planet itself. One of its most intriguing moons, Titan, is the second largest moon in the solar system and has an atmosphere of its own, thick with nitrogen and methane. Titan is a world in which rivers of liquid methane and ethane flow across its surface, forming lakes and seas, and where the air itself seems thick and still, as if time moves more slowly here. Enceladus, another moon of Saturn, is even more mysterious. Beneath its icy surface, there is strong evidence of a subsurface ocean, and geysers of water and ice regularly erupt from cracks in the moon's crust. These eruptions may carry the building blocks of life with them, carried through space on the icy plumes that rise from beneath the frozen surface. Despite these active moons, Saturn itself feels timeless. The planet does not rush toward its future or its end. Instead, it seems to float gently through space, unbothered, unchanging in a way that makes it feel almost eternal. Its rings, though slowly fading away due to the pull of gravity, will remain for millions of years, continuing their quiet dance around the planet, unaffected by time. As we leave Saturn behind, there is a sense of peace, as though we've passed through a realm of quiet beauty, untouched by the noise of other worlds. Saturn reminds us that not all beauty needs to be loud or sudden. Some beauty simply is gentle and constant. Ahead, another world waits, one that is cold, distant, and shrouded in mystery. But for now, let the stillness of Saturn settle around you, letting the echoes of its quiet beauty linger before we continue on. As Saturn's rings slowly recede behind us, space stretches farther into the quiet expanse. The stars seem to multiply, and ahead, a distant world begins to emerge, not with the bright bands of color like its neighbors, but with a subtle blue-green hue. This is Uranus, a planet that feels more like a dream than a reality, tilted dramatically on its side, as though it had decided to take a rest and never stood up. Uranus spins with a slow, deliberate rhythm, its axis tipped at an angle of nearly 90 degrees. This means that its seasons are unlike those of any other planet, each one lasting for about 20 years. The poles of Uranus receive sunlight directly for years at a time, while the equator remains in darkness. The planet's spin is so tilted, it feels as though it's quietly rolling across its orbit, rather than spinning like the other planets. It's a gentle, languid motion, a world that doesn't rush, doesn't struggle to maintain order. Instead, it seems to glide, almost at peace with itself. The atmosphere of Uranus is mostly made up of hydrogen, helium, and methane, giving it its characteristic pale blue-green color. Methane absorbs red light and reflects blue, creating the planet's soft, almost haunting hue. The clouds above Uranus are not as thick as those of Jupiter or Saturn, but they swirl gently, moving slowly through the thin, cold atmosphere. The winds here, though fast, do not howl or scream. Instead, they seem to whisper as they move across the frozen landscape. Despite its size and distance from the Sun, Uranus is not the coldest planet in the solar system. That title goes to Neptune. But the planet's distant, languid atmosphere, combined with the absence of significant internal heat, gives it a quiet, dreamlike quality. The winds here are not destructive. There is no rush. Time moves slower on Uranus, as though the planet is content to drift at its own pace, turning steadily through its long, unbroken days. Uranus has a faint set of rings, subtle and almost invisible from afar, like whispers on the horizon. These rings are faint, composed of tiny particles that are scattered across the planet's equator. They are not as grand or as prominent as Saturn's, but in their quiet, understated presence, they offer another layer of serenity to Uranus's atmosphere. The rings seem to barely touch the planet, not binding it in place, but gently tracing its path as if following along without interruption. Though Uranus has a number of moons, they are distant and small, their surfaces cold and icy, echoing the stillness of the planet itself. Miranda, one of its larger moons, has strange, fragmented terrain, steep cliffs, deep valleys, and a surface that seems torn apart and reassembled by forces long past. It is a reminder that, even in the stillness of space, the forces of creation and destruction are always at work, even if we cannot see them from here. Yet, there is no urgency on Uranus. There is no need to rush or to move forward. The planet, tilted on its side, drifts through the vast space around it like a serene sleeper in the quietest of dreams. There is something deeply calming about its stillness, something that suggests the universe doesn't always require activity or noise. Sometimes it simply requires quiet presence. As we continue onward, the deep blue of Uranus fades behind us, and we drift closer to the farthest planet in the solar system. There, waiting in the cold darkness, lies Neptune, a world as mysterious and tranquil as the space around it. As we leave Uranus behind, the vast emptiness of space continues to stretch out, and the silence around us deepens. The stars seem to fade into the distance as we move farther from the warmth of the sun. But ahead, in the farthest reaches of the solar system, a faint blue glow begins to take form. This is Neptune, the distant, mysterious world that orbits the sun from the very edge of our neighborhood in space. Neptune's atmosphere is a deep, rich blue, a color that hints at its cold, windswept nature. It is a planet of extremes, where wind speeds can reach over 2,000 kilometers per hour, faster than the speed of sound on Earth. Yet these winds, howling across Neptune's surface, do not scream or disrupt. Instead, they move with a quiet, relentless force, shaping the planet's cloud formations into swirling, ever-changing patterns. It's as if Neptune holds its secrets tightly, whispering them only to those who are patient enough to listen. Despite its size, Neptune is a world of contrasts. It is incredibly distant from the sun, yet it radiates more heat than it receives. This is a planet with an internal engine that burns quietly, far below its icy surface. Scientists believe that Neptune's core is still active, generating heat and stirring the planet's internal motions. Yet, From the surface, it feels calm. The deep blue of the atmosphere, marked only by occasional storm systems, seems to stretch forever, giving Neptune an almost infinite quality. One of Neptune's most famous features is the Great Dark Spot, a storm system similar to Jupiter's Great Red Spot, but located far from the Sun. Like its counterpart, the Great Dark Spot swirls with fury, but unlike Jupiter's storm, Neptune's does not last forever. It fades, reforms, and moves, always shifting in a way that feels like an ongoing dance. The storm's existence and its eventual disappearance gives Neptune an air of mystery, as though even its storms are temporary visitors, leaving as quietly as they arrived. Beneath the storm clouds, Neptune's atmosphere is made up of hydrogen, helium, and methane. The methane here gives the planet its deep blue color, absorbing red light and reflecting blue. But the atmosphere also holds an unexpected beauty in its quiet storm systems. Though these storms are intense, they don't rage without purpose. They are part of a greater rhythm, a cycle of change that never seems to end, but which always moves with a steady, unhurried pace. Neptune's moons, like its atmosphere, are distant and cold. Triton, the largest of Neptune's moons, is unique in that it orbits in the opposite direction to Neptune's rotation, as though it is moving against the current. Its surface is icy, and beneath that icy exterior, scientists suspect that there may be an ocean of liquid water. But like the planet itself, Triton is distant, hidden in cold darkness, and remains mostly untouched by the passing centuries. The cold on Neptune is profound. The planet is the coldest in the solar system, with average temperatures reaching -214 degrees Celsius. Yet, despite the freezing temperatures and harsh winds, Neptune moves through space with an elegance that feels timeless. It drifts calmly, almost serenely, through the darkness, a planet untouched by the rush of the worlds closer to the Sun. As we leave Neptune behind, it begins to recede into the depths of the solar system, a faint blue glow fading into the darkness. The quiet beauty of this distant world lingers, a reminder that even the most distant places can hold calm, peace, and mystery. Ahead, a new frontier awaits, the edge of our solar system, where the influence of the Sun begins to fade, and the vastness of interstellar space stretches out like a blanket, waiting for us to explore. As Neptune's faint blue light slips into the distance, we are left with the expansive silence of space, stretching out before us. Beyond Neptune lies the frontier of the solar system, a place where the Sun's influence begins to weaken, and the mysteries of interstellar space beckon. This is the realm of the Kuiper Belt, a region of icy bodies and distant objects, far beyond the familiar planets. The Kuiper Belt is not empty, though it may seem so from afar. It is home to thousands of icy worlds, each one slowly orbiting the Sun in its own quiet path. Some of these objects are no larger than asteroids, while others, like Pluto, are large enough to be considered dwarf planets. These bodies are remnants from the early days of the solar system, icy relics that never coalesced into full-fledged planets. They remain frozen in time, preserved in the cold expanse of space, quietly tracing their orbits in the deep shadows of the outer solar system. At the farthest reaches of the Kuiper Belt lies the most famous of these worlds, Pluto. Once considered the 9th planet of the solar system, Pluto's status has been revised, but its place in our imagination remains unchanged. Pluto is a tiny world, only about 1/6 the size of Earth's moon, and yet it carries with it a sense of mystery and wonder. Pluto's orbit is highly elliptical, meaning it brings it closer to the Sun at times and farther away at others. In fact, there are periods when Pluto is actually closer to the Sun than Neptune. Yet, due to the unique resonance between their orbits, the two never collide. This quiet dance between Pluto and Neptune is a reminder of the delicate balance that governs the solar system, a system of gravity and time that allows distant worlds to coexist without chaos. Pluto's surface is a frozen landscape covered in ice and rock, with mountains made of water ice rising from the surface. The surface temperature here is incredibly cold, averaging around -229 degrees Celsius. Yet Pluto is not a completely lifeless world. Beneath its icy crust, there may be a subsurface ocean warmed by the planet's internal heat. This possibility has led scientists to wonder if, like Europa and Enceladus, Pluto might hold the potential for life, or at least for the right conditions to support it. Despite its small size, Pluto has a complex and varied surface, with large, dark plains, frozen nitrogen glaciers, and bright, reflective areas made of methane ice. The planet's reddish hue comes from tholins, complex organic compounds that form when methane is exposed to ultraviolet light from the sun. These compounds give Pluto a unique color, setting it apart from the more familiar rocky and gas giant worlds. The small moons of Pluto, Charon, Styx, Nix, Kerberos, and Hydra, each orbit silently in the deep shadows of space. Charon, Pluto's largest moon, is nearly half the size of Pluto itself, and the two bodies are so close in size that they actually orbit a common center of mass, which lies just outside of Pluto. This quiet, mutual orbit creates a kind of harmony between Pluto and its moon, a peaceful rotation in the cold vastness of the Kuiper Belt. Beyond Pluto lies a more distant and mysterious region known as the Oort cloud. This is a hypothetical region, a vast spherical shell surrounding the solar system, thought to be home to billions of icy objects. The Oort cloud marks the boundary between our solar system and the stars beyond, and its icy inhabitants are believed to be the source of long-period comets that occasionally pass through the inner solar system. The Oort cloud is so distant that it remains beyond our direct observation. Its objects are thought to be scattered, isolated, and incredibly cold. It is a place where the sun's influence wanes, where the pull of gravity from nearby stars may occasionally nudge an object into the inner solar system. It is a place of mystery, a faraway realm that holds the final secrets of the solar system's formation. As we leave Pluto and the Kuiper Belt behind, the vastness of interstellar space begins to unfold before us. We are moving beyond the realm of the known, toward the distant frontier of the solar system, where the sun's light begins to fade into the darkness of the Milky Way. As the farthest reaches of the Kuiper Belt and the potential vastness of the Oort cloud drift quietly behind us, the edge of the solar system becomes a final frontier, an area where the sun's influence begins to fade into the deep and expansive void of interstellar space. This is the boundary we call the heliopause, the outermost layer of the sun's bubble of influence, where the solar wind, a constant flow of charged particles emitted by the sun, meets the interstellar medium, the gas and dust that exists between the stars. The heliopause marks the end of the sun's protective bubble, a quiet boundary between the solar system and the larger galaxy. Beyond this point, the solar wind's influence is no longer felt. The pressure of the sun's particles begins to wane, and the winds of the stars beyond take over. It's a boundary that is invisible to the eye, but it is an important marker of the solar system's place in the universe. The two spacecrafts that have ventured closest to the edge of the solar system are Voyager 1 and Voyager 2. These twin probes, launched in 1977, have crossed into interstellar space, sending back data and images from beyond the realms of the planets we know. Voyager 1 crossed the heliopause in 2012, becoming the first human-made object to leave the solar system, while Voyager 2 followed a few years later in 2018. As they continue to travel outward, their signals weaken, but they continue to send us messages from beyond, from the quiet edge of our solar system and into the unknown vastness beyond. But beyond the heliopause lies a much more mysterious and distant region, the Oort cloud. While we cannot directly observe it, scientists believe that the Oort cloud extends far beyond the planets and the Kuiper belt, perhaps as far as 1 light-year from the Sun. This hypothetical spherical cloud of icy bodies is thought to be the source of long-period comets, icy visitors that occasionally make their way inward toward the inner solar system. The Oort cloud is named after Dutch astronomer Jan Oort, who proposed its existence in 1950. It is believed to be a distant, cold, and sparse region where objects are scattered and isolated. Unlike the more organized orbits of the planets and the Kuiper belt, the bodies in the Oort cloud are thought to be loosely bound by the sun's gravity. Occasionally, some of these objects are nudged by the gravity of nearby stars or galactic forces, sending them on long journeys toward the inner solar system. Though the Oort cloud is still theoretical, its existence is inferred by the behavior of long-period comets, which take hundreds, even thousands, of years to orbit the Sun. These comets are believed to originate in the Oort cloud, where they are scattered by gravitational interactions into orbits that bring them into the inner solar system. The Oort cloud is so far away and so faint that it remains beyond our direct observation. It is a place of great distance, where the sun's light is but a faint glimmer, and the stars beyond begin to exert their pull. It is the farthest frontier of our solar system, a boundary where the influence of our sun fades and the darkness of interstellar space begins. Beyond the Oort cloud lies the rest of the Milky Way galaxy, a vast and uncharted region filled with stars, nebulae, and other distant worlds. The Oort cloud and the heliopause mark the end of what we can consider the solar system, a collection of worlds, icy bodies, and distant moons that has, for eons, drifted through space as a family. But beyond this boundary, the solar system becomes just another tiny speck in the vast, endless expanse of the galaxy. As we pause here, at the very edge of the known universe, we are reminded of the infinite scale of the cosmos. The solar system, despite its wonders, is only a small part of a much larger story, one that stretches across billions of stars and countless worlds. And though we have traveled far, there is still so much more to explore, so much more to learn, and so much more to discover. Beyond the boundary of the Oort cloud, where the sun's influence finally fades into the dark silence of interstellar space, the landscape of our solar system seems to dissolve, leaving only the faintest echoes of the worlds we have visited. But even in this dark, distant corner, there is something quietly beautiful about the stillness, a reminder that there is much more to discover, even in the farthest reaches of the cosmos. As we leave the solar system's grasp, we enter the vast expanse of interstellar space, a region where the stars themselves seem scattered far and wide, separated by vast distances and shrouded in a darkness deeper than anything we've seen before. The space between the stars is not truly empty. It is filled with gas, dust, and cosmic radiation. The remnants of stars long past and the raw material for new stars yet to come. This is the space where the Milky Way galaxy and every other galaxy slowly turns and drifts, each star and planet following its own path, yet all connected in the grand rhythm of the universe. In interstellar space, the sun no longer holds sway, its light a distant memory, barely noticeable from this far away. The stars around us, though numerous, appear faint and dim, their light stretched thin by the vast distance between us and them. In the darkness, our solar system, once a bustling collection of planets, moons, and icy bodies, becomes just another quiet system, slowly drifting on the edge of the galaxy. But even in this emptiness, there is a sense of peace. The universe, in its infinite vastness, is never truly empty. It is full of potential, full of possibilities, even if we cannot see them from here. The stars that twinkle faintly in the distance may have planets of their own, worlds unknown, waiting for explorers to one day visit them. And though we are far from Earth, far from our familiar home, there is comfort in the thought that we are part of something much larger than ourselves. A galaxy, a universe, a cosmos that stretches beyond our understanding. As we drift further into the void, we find that the darkness of space is not as cold and inhospitable as it may seem. It is a place of quiet wonder, a place where the vastness of the universe invites contemplation. There is no hurry here, no rush to move on, no deadlines to meet. Instead, there is only the stillness of space, the slow turning of galaxies, and the steady hum of the universe's heartbeat. We are not alone in this expanse. The stars that flicker faintly around us are part of a much larger story, one that stretches across millions of light years and encompasses countless worlds, many of which may be as quiet, as serene as our own. There are other solar systems out there, other places where life may exist or may have once existed. And while we are far from them, they are all part of the same grand design, stretching outward into the unknown. Even though we have reached the edge of the solar system, we are still within the Milky Way, a galaxy that is only one of billions in the universe. The vastness is difficult to comprehend, but in this quiet, drifting moment, it is enough to simply exist, to be part of the journey, and to know that the universe is full of mysteries waiting to be unraveled. As we look out across the dark expanse, we realize that while we have come to the end of our journey through the solar system, we have only begun to scratch the surface of what lies beyond. The future of exploration, of discovery, lies in the stars, and it is waiting for those who will continue to seek answers in the quiet corners of the universe. As we sit on the edge of the solar system, a sense of quiet wonder fills the space around us. The stars in the distance, though faint, hold stories of worlds still unknown, of galaxies spinning in their eternal dance, and of cosmic events yet to unfold. While our journey has taken us to the farthest reaches of our solar system, we are reminded that we are not the only travelers in this vast universe. All around us, in the darkness of space, countless worlds move slowly, quietly, each following their own path through the stars. The Milky Way, our home galaxy, stretches across the cosmos, a swirling spiral of stars, nebulae, and black holes, with each star a potential home for life, each planet a world with its own story to tell. Our solar system is but a small speck, a single point in this grand galaxy, and yet it is the only one we know. It is the only place where we have ever lived, where life has flourished, where our story began. But the universe is vast, and there are many more stories yet to be written. As we venture beyond the solar system, we enter the realm of the stars, a place where new worlds are born in the nebulae and old stars fade away into black holes. The distance between us and the next star is so vast that even light, traveling at the fastest speed in the universe, takes years to reach its destination. The nearest star system, Alpha Centauri, is over 4 light-years away, and yet it too holds mysteries, planets, and perhaps even life, all waiting to be discovered. As we drift farther from the solar system, we pass through regions where the fabric of space itself seems to stretch and bend. Here, gravity from distant stars and galaxies warps the space-time continuum, creating gravitational lenses that bend the light from stars and galaxies behind them. These cosmic distortions allow us to peer deeper into the universe than we ever could with our eyes alone, revealing galaxies, black holes, and nebulae that are millions, even billions of light-years away. This vastness, this uncharted expanse, can feel overwhelming. The distances are so great that it is difficult to fathom just how much space there is between each star, between each galaxy. And yet, despite its size, the universe is not an inhospitable place. It is a place of quiet beauty, of slow, patient motion, where stars are born, live, and die in the endless dance of time. As we look back toward the solar system, we can see the faintest glimmer of our sun, a tiny speck of light in the darkness. Our home, our world, our entire history, all trace back to that small, steady star. And as we drift farther from it, we carry with us the stories of our past, the memories of the worlds we visited, and the knowledge that, though we are small in the grand scheme of the universe, we are part of something much greater than ourselves. We are explorers, and the universe is our journey. As we float farther into the silent depths of space, the infinite expanse around us begins to feel less like an absence and more like a presence. A vast, unbroken silence, where the stars are countless, and each one is a story, a world, a possibility waiting to be discovered. This is the boundary of the known, the place where the solar system fades from view, where the edge of our understanding lies, and where the darkness of interstellar space envelopes us in its still embrace. Yet even in this deep silence, there is a sense of quiet anticipation. The universe, in all its vastness, seems to hum with potential, each star a silent beacon calling out across the void. We are but travelers, drifting further away from the familiar, yet always connected to the cosmic dance that binds everything together. Our journey has taken us through the solar system, past planets, moons, and distant icy bodies, each one with its own story, its own history, its own place in the cosmic tapestry. And now, as we continue our path, we are reminded of the incredible vastness that lies beyond. The sun, once the central figure of our journey, now seems like a distant memory. Its light, once so warm and bright, is a faint glimmer in the distance. Yet, in that faint light, we remember the warmth it gave us, the life it nurtured, and the countless moments it has watched over throughout time. The solar system, a small and quiet collection of worlds, has been our home for eons. It is a place where life began, where we learned to dream, and where we first looked up at the stars, wondering what lay beyond. But now we move farther from it into the darkness of the galaxy. The Milky Way, with its billions of stars, spreads out before us like a vast ocean of light, each wave a galaxy, each current a force of gravity pulling everything closer together. We are not alone in this universe. Every star we see, every galaxy that fills the void holds worlds like our own, perhaps with life, perhaps with civilizations. They are the echoes of our own story, stories that may never be told, but that are connected by the same threads of time, space, and existence. We have reached the final frontier, a place where the influence of the sun fades into the background of the universe. The Oort cloud, the last remnant of the solar system, marks the boundary between our neighborhood and the rest of the galaxy. Beyond this point, the stars grow dimmer, the light weaker, and the space between them grows larger. But this vastness, this emptiness, is not something to fear. It is a space of possibility, a place where new discoveries can be made, new worlds can be found, and new stories can begin. As we sit here on the edge of the known, we are reminded that the universe is not a place of finality. It is a place of constant change, of endless cycles of birth, death, and rebirth. Stars are born in the nebulae, and when they die, they scatter their elements into the cosmos, creating the building blocks for new stars, new planets, and perhaps new life. The cycle is eternal, and we are but a small part of it, drifting through time and space, part of the infinite story that stretches across the cosmos. And so, as our journey comes to a close, we are left with the quiet beauty of the universe, a beauty that is not loud or overwhelming, but gentle, patient, and eternal. The stars continue to shine, the galaxies continue to spin, and the universe moves forward at its own pace, without hurry, without end. And we, as explorers, continue to watch, to wonder, and to dream. Wherever you are, let the stillness of space remind you that there is peace in the quiet, that the universe moves at its own pace, and that, though we may never reach the farthest corners of the cosmos, the journey itself is enough. As the journey through the stars draws to a close, and we find ourselves floating in the vast, quiet expanse of interstellar space, the universe around us seems to soften. The stars, once distant and mysterious, now feel like old companions, shining faintly in the darkness. Their light, though weak from our far distance, is a reminder that even in the silence, there is always something burning, something alive, something that waits patiently for us to discover it. The infinite reaches of space, once overwhelming in their vastness, now feel peaceful. The motion of the planets, the distant galaxies, the unseen forces that shape the universe, all of it continues gently without hurry. Time stretches on, endless and unbroken, as we float here in this quiet moment, knowing that our journey through the cosmos, though complete for now, is only a small part of something much larger. Take a deep breath, feel the stillness settle around you. Let go of any lingering thoughts or worries. Let the calm of space wrap around you like a blanket, soft and comforting. There is no rush, no destination we must reach, just the quiet beauty of the universe, unfolding slowly, like the gentle rhythm of your own breathing. Wherever you are, let the world fade away for a while. Allow your mind to drift as we have, free from the pull of time, free from the demands of the day. In this moment, everything is as it should be, still, peaceful, and full of wonder. As the stars continue their slow dance, remember that you are part of this vast, unbroken rhythm. You are part of the story just as the planets, the stars, and the galaxies are. And though your place in the cosmos is small, it is just as important, just as beautiful as any other. So rest now, in the quiet of space, and let your thoughts drift like the stars, calm, steady, and at peace. Sweet dreams, traveler. The universe will always be here when you're ready to return.